Derek's shaking his head up and down.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Bend Landmarks Commission for our monthly meeting for August 18th, 2020. Can we do a roll call?
Heidi Kennedy, City Bend Planner.
And Jerry Sebastian, Chair.
Jim Federski, Stevens, Vice Chair.
Okay. Jump right in.
Lucas Eschelbach, City Bend Planner.
Terry, you're still muted. Terry, you're muted. There you go. All right.
How about now?
Okay. I guess we're all aboard. Who's coming aboard, I guess.
David is here too. He's muted as well.
Okay, what was that, Heidi? I didn't understand that.
David is also here this evening.
Oh, okay, great. Let's see. I'm assuming everybody had a chance to look at the agenda, look the agenda over before we get started. Is there, again, we will have good of the order at the end, but is there anything that needs to be placed on the agenda before we get started? Heidi, did you have anything else that needed to go on?
Nothing to add at this point.
Okay, nothing at this point. Okay. Then I'm also assuming that folks had a chance to take a look at the draft July minutes. Yes, no? If so, I'll entertain a motion to accept those draft minutes as they are, or if you have a correction, or if you have a amendment to make to them.
I move to accept the minutes as presented.
Last July meeting, I'll need a second on that.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. And then all the folks who were at the July meeting for the draft minutes, all those in favor of the amendment or the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. Okay.
For the record, Commissioner Flores just came onto the meeting.
Okay, Robin's on. Good. So we're all here now. We're all in our places. We're bright smiling faces. I know that this is difficult with the format that we're using, and I don't see it on the agenda, but if there is someone listening in out there who would like to make a comment to the Landmarks Commission on any topic that is not on the agenda, please go ahead and raise your hand or let Juan know that you want to be heard.
And at this point, we don't have anybody waiting, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Right now, there's no one on the broadcast. Right now, there's no one on the broadcast except commissioners and folks attached to the commission, right?
That is correct.
Okay, Juan, let me know if someone does come on and a member of the public and they do join us, okay? Well,
Will do.
Then let's move to item 3 on the agenda, our first public hearing for our first proposal project. This is a, let me go ahead and do the statement, the preliminary statement. This is a de novo hearing and is an initial evidentiary hearing of PZ-20-0152. This application is a request for a remodel of an existing structure within the historic district and a whole series of other things that go with it. Raising the foundation by 2 feet, constructs a 96 square foot rear addition, improvements to siding, exterior trim, roofing, lighting, windows, front entry door. And the applicant also proposes to remove non-historic roofing, non-historic siding, an existing rear yard covered deck, and an interior chimney. That sounds like a lot of work, okay? The applicant has the burden of proving that he or she is entitled to the approval sought. The applicable criteria for this application include the Bend Urban Area Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 3, and Chapter 10.2, Historic Preservation Code of the Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties. Our procedures, testimony and evidence at this hearing must be direct, excuse me, just a minute. That's something caught in my throat. Testimony and evidence at this hearing must be directed toward the criteria set forth in the staff report or other criteria in the Bend General Plan or Bend Development Code that you believe is applicable or any other criteria in the National Register of Historic Places program that any person believes apply to this decision. Failure on the part of any person to raise an issue with sufficient specificity to afford the landmarks commissioners and parties to this proceeding an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the City Council or Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Additionally, failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the Landmarks Commission to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in Circuit Court. The hearing will be conducted in the following order. Staff will give a report. Applicant will then have an opportunity to offer testimony and evidence. Proponents of the application will then be given a chance to testify and present evidence. When all proponents have testified, opponents to the appeal or to the project will then be given a chance to testify and present evidence. After both proponents and opponents have testified, the applicants will be allowed to present rebuttal testimony, but may not present new evidence. At the Landmarks Commission's discretion, if the proponents presented new evidence on rebuttal, opponents may be recognized for rebuttal presentation. At the conclusion of this hearing, the staff will be afforded an opportunity to make any closing comments. The Commission may limit the time period for presentation. Continuances before the close of the hearing, any person who has the right to request an opportunity to present additional evidence, argument, or testimony regarding the application. If the hearing is continued or the record left open, the applicant shall also be allowed at least 7 days after the record is closed to all other parties to submit final written arguments, but no new evidence in support of the application. Okay, pre-hearings, contact, biases, conflicts of interest. Do any of the commissioners have any ex parte contacts, prior hearing observations, biases, or conflicts of interest to declare? Okay, hearing none. Does any party wish to challenge any commissioner based on ex parte contacts, biases, or conflicts of interest? All right, hearing none, then we shall proceed. Okay, Heidi, staff report, staff presentation.
Hi, this is Lucas. I took over this review, so I'll be
okay.
presentation.
All right, Lucas.
Good evening. Hope you all made it all right. I hope traffic was fine. This application, it's PZ20-0152, is for a remodel of an existing single-family dwelling. It's located in the Old Town Historic District. This is the Herbert and Leona McClellan house. It's currently unoccupied and in a state of disrepair. There have been a number of non-historic additions to the house over time, and the applicant is proposing to restore the house in line with the character of the original historic building and of the historic district. Nothing stood out in particular in terms of my review, other than the great job that Jason and his team did. That's all detailed in the staff report. In terms of back and forth between Jason and I, there was a minor change to the porch as proposed, because the porch is currently jutting out into the right-of-way, which is not terribly uncommon for structures in the district. But because he was proposing to reconstruct the porch, Title V of the Bend Development Code requires that the porch be reconstructed in conformance with setbacks for the zone. So as proposed, and what's shown in E-plans is that revised porch plan, and that is what the staff report is based on. Otherwise, nothing stood out in particular, and I did recommend approval with the standard condition of approval, typical of all historic landmarks reviews. So at this point, I will turn it over to Jason unless any of the commissioners have questions before that.
Yeah, I do have a question for you. Hi, Lucas.
Hi.
I'm kind of confused because I remember going through the two projects. Somewhere there was something where there had to be a variance on a setback.
That is correct. And the variance applies to the second application, which you will be hearing tonight.
Thank you. I got confused.
Mm-hmm.
I just confused it with the porch and the setback. So the plans that we looked at, that I looked at today, include the changes that you made in consultation with Jason.
That's correct. Yeah, I don't want to foment any confusion there, but I just wanted to clarify that in terms of revisions, that was the minor revision that was provided.
Okay. Any other commissioners have questions for Lucas?
One question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Derek.
Lucas, the plans that we received, let's see, dated 8/10/20, you're saying that the front porch on these plans do not reflect the change in the front porch, or they do reflect the change in the front porch?
They do, and they should reflect the front porch revision, which was made prior to that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Then if we have no other questions for Lucas, then I'm assuming that Jason, you're here to represent and you're going to present to us.
Yeah, Jason's here. Matt's also here. Tying in with the clarification of the question, it was the cheek walls at the front porch, which are, what is a cheek wall? Cheek wall is a little low wall, it's about 1.5 to 2 feet. And those were removed because the new ones were to be built in the right of way. So we removed those. The rest of the structural support of the front porch still stays as is. Only the low cheek walls were removed.
Well, the walls, the walls in that porch were actually removed from the plans.
Yeah, just the cheek walls.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
I can dive into the burden of proof. Let me drag it over here and share. Okay, you guys see that?
I've got it.
All right. So I'll just go through fairly quickly. I believe a while ago you guys reviewed the collapsed garage. It was located in the northeast corner. So getting familiar with the project. Again, here's the aerial view of the project. The cheek walls were right about there. Anyways, what this applicant for this particular review is just to, again, remodel and do an addition to the existing structure. I'll just pan through. I imagine you all have seen the photos. What's also tying into part 2 of our review, which would be the second, is note that this is an RH lot. RH lots are not allowed to have single family residence, non-conforming if it's a single family. So that's why we're coming back with the part 2 of it will be a review the duplex application, which is overall a triplex application. Okay, moving on down the burden of proof. I'm just going to hop into the photos. Again, we were able to obtain 2 photos from the Deschutes County Historic, and this is what it used to look like. There is, even behind this historic bush, which we believe is still there, there is a window similar to here that is, you'll see in the photos, the recent photos, that it's covered up. Okay, here's your current condition. The structure has been uninhabited since the client bought the project, and it was uninhabited before then. Client purchased the property in, I believe, in April of 2019. No one has taken any sort of habitants for the structure that are supposed to be there. We did notice that somebody was kind of hanging out over down behind that bush. Talking about unoriginal porch roofs, here is one of them. It is a clearly custom installation. And let's go back up here so you guys, again, can reference the original. So you'll see that whoever had the house before added a roof here, added a roof off the side, plus some ones at the rear. So our proposal is to remove this non-historic roof. There's another one behind this bush we are proposing to remove as well. There's another view of that non-historic. And again, for the engineers and/or engineers in the room, yes, you can hold up a roof with 2-inch galvanized pipe. You don't need a beam. That's what's going on. As we proceed down, this view is kind of showing where we started up siding changes. The home does have a variety of sidings going on. So we have some kind of T111/Breckenridge siding. This is not brick. This is faux brick. It's asphalt that's made to look like brick. There's even back here another siding type as well. Another siding type on this side. This is the other non-historic roof that, as you look at the front facade, will be on the right side. So we're proposing to remove this non-historic roof also. That's the underside of that non-historic roof. Here's where I mentioned a while ago about that window that was covered up. Here is where that window is. We are proposing to remove the plywood and the foam insulation and make the window active again. That is the walk down to the existing root cellar. Here are the steps from the, sidewalk is level with the road, and you'll see as part of the proposal is we were suggesting to raise the finished floor elevation up, because right now water is coming down the sidewalk, going down the steps, and basically flooding the front porch. So our proposal again is to raise it up to street level, and that will assist with that. Better view of that same porch. You can see they built a kicker to try to keep the water out of the front. Existing front door. There is the existing chimney vent that is only doing venting for the boiler that is in the root cellar. So again, our proposal is to remove the bricks out of that. So, okay, moving to the site plan. Again, site plan, it's a non-conforming location on site, but it's a historic home. Non-conforming meaning that the existing setbacks for today's current zoning are not met, but it is an existing structure. So where that roof was going over, the non-conforming roof was actually going over onto the neighbor's property here. So proposing to remove that off, and again, the other non-conforming roof was here. There is another non-conforming, non-historic roof at the back of the home, and we were proposing to remove that and come back with our addition here. Okay, so this is a kind of proposed demo plan for the interior, and you're going to see some photos of the interior in a second. It has definitely seen some better days inside. And here we go. There were the applicants on here. I think there was like 148 electrical outlets and shelves on every wall. Kitchen, the bathroom's closed. We might just have to do some sealant and we'll be back. I'm kidding. One of the old kind of kitchen cabinetry as well. Now we're starting into our proposal. Proposal's talking about right here, again, we're proposing to do a bedroom addition. We remove the roof here, we remove the roof here. Bedroom addition, currently this is a back deck where the existing exterior wall is here, comes around the corner and comes back. So we're proposing to remove that existing deck and the existing non-historic roof and come back with a new bedroom and add a roof. Here's our existing front facade. This is the older burden of proof. So the cheek walls that Lucas was talking about earlier, this is them. These are going to go away. So the updated drawings that you should have in your hands reflect these going away. So no cheek walls in the right of way.
Okay.
Side of the house did already have one addition at one period. So the original house box, the rectangles stopped here. And this piece was added on. That's that same piece. Yes, there is that tiny little offset. It's about 3.5 inches. And you can tell the original house, then at some point in time, they added this on. Same facade as before. This is removing, again, that non-historic roof, pulling the plywood and letting the window go back in the kitchen. And again, that's part of our addition going off of the rear. I'll show you guys this again when we start the next part of review, but we did a quick little 3D so you guys can see the exterior. Let's do it no trees. And again, we're going to talk about part 2, which is what you see in the backyard for the next part. She's saying about herself. Okay. All right, we'll go back to the burden. Proposing hardy plank lap siding. Here's our door. Here's our front door. We're proposing to use Sierra Pacific clad windows. Cross sections to the windows. There's our roofing material, 3-tab. Here's our gooseneck light. Here are our colors, body, accent, and trim, and our paperwork for Deschutes County. So at this moment, I will stop and let you guys just let me know about questions.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Just real quick, all of the windows that you're putting in are going to be that awning type?
Some will be casement, some will be awning, but they're all going to be matching the same style and profile. The variance will be when we need egress windows.
Mm-hmm.
There are,
And
I believe, single hungs on the front of this facade as well. And any casements that are installed will match the look of the single hung or the thicker sash bar in the middle.
okay. Okay. And then just as a kind of a quick sum up, everything that you do is with the intent of trying to restore that structure to its original or close to its original look.
Yeah, that's correct. The foundation is would not meet today's standards at all for foundation. So the applicant, and there is sagging going on in the floor in multiple places. So the applicant's proposing to put in a new foundation so he can get it structurally sound, then set the house back on top of the foundation so he can start remedying the house and putting it back to a usable level. Right now, it's pretty bad in there. And
Yeah, I may have read through it and just not noticed it, but foundation is going to be, what are you going to use for a foundation, new foundation?
poured in place concrete.
Poured in place concrete, okay. All righty. And commissioners, do you have questions for Jason?
So you said you were going to raise the main living area, or was it you were going to raise an elevation, right? A floor level?
Correct.
Which one?
We're proposing to raise the floor level approximately 1 foot 10 inches to 2 feet. So the main finished floor is at the sidewalk level that's existing. So the front porch doesn't flood anymore.
Right. Okay. So you're essentially going to raise the ceiling height of the root cellar by 1 foot 10 inches.
Yes, 1 foot 10 inches to 2 feet. Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that got clarified. Thank you.
Okay, and then again, just real quick, that won't raising the whole entire structure almost 2 feet won't put you above the other houses in the neighborhood, right?
No, the houses across the street are taller. The house to the east is already taller. To the west is a 2-story multifamily structure that's very much taller. To the north is a 2-story office building in the northwest. There's single-family residence to the north and single-family residence to the northeast.
Okay, and so let's say, okay, great. Okay, any other questions then for Jason?
One question on the root cellar. Does it currently have a concrete floor or is it dirt?
It's dirt, and the foundation is small rocks on medium rocks on bigger rocks. And when we talk about part 2 for the duplex, and then later when we go to the triplex, the proposal for the root cellar is to become, for triplex applications, you have to have 60 square feet of storage for each unit on.
Yeah.
So the root cellar will be part of the storage for the units on.
Okay.
Oh, okay, hold that thought. I'll come back to that one when we get to the second part of this. Okay, no other questions then for Jason? Is there anyone on from the members of the public or our applicant would like to speak in favor of this proposal?
And we don't have anybody on the phone at this point, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so then we have no one who will speak against the proposal as well.
That is correct.
That is correct. Well, then, as far as this portion of the hearings, then in the intake of information, we'll go ahead and declare those closed. Commissioners, I'm sorry, Lucas, do you have any other comments that you would like to add before I close the hearing?
No, Commissioner, I do not.
Okay, all right. Then we will close this hearing for now. We will close this hearing. Commissioners, comments, thoughts, ideas, any other questions that you would like to ask to Lucas? No questions? Jim, you're a landscape. Did you take a look at the landscaping for the project?
I did, yeah. Actually, I was thrown a loop because when I first looked at it, I saw the triplex.
Yeah, you saw the
And I thought, wait a minute, this isn't it. I had to check both, staff reports, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's a second part of this.
Yeah.
The landscape is fine. I had to go back and actually check the history on Carl Forrester grass.
Oh,
I know it's become a very contemporary material, but it actually came in vogue in the 1930s. The German botanist Carl Forrester was on a train headed to Chicago. He saw the plant off on the side of the railroad tracks and pulled the emergency stop cord so he could go out and collect the specimen. And that's the origin of, from there it became a very popular grass. Noted landscape architects, Ohm van Sweden, Jan Jensen. So it has good historic roots.
okay, good, good. And it has good roots to begin to period. Kind of done like a true scientist, huh? Hey, wait, that's interesting. Yeah. All right, anyway. Okay, then if there are no other questions or any other comments that commissioners would like to make before we move on? If there is nothing, then I will entertain a motion. David?
I would move that we accept the proposal as presented.
Oh, wait a minute. David, do you have a question?
So I just had one comment, concern, and that was on that water retention area in the back of the duplex. Don't know if it gets covered in this one or later, but in terms of, it might be covered in both, because I just wanted to know, like, does the area in between the units, right? So it's 9 foot. Does that drain out into that water retention area?
Jason, you still with us?
Hearing's closed.
What was
I
that?
can't comment.
You know what? We can cover. I can cover this question on the next one.
On the next one, that's where it
Yeah.
came up with the drain. Okay, then let's see. Derek, you were about to make a motion?
Yeah, I would move that we accept as presented with the staff's recommendation.
Okay, and staff's recommendation was that
was
the
the,
checklist be submitted?
Yeah, the material sheet or however it is phrased.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Yeah, this is Rob, and I'll second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we accept this proposal with staff recommendation. All right. A comment or discussion on the proposal, on the motion?
I actually commend them for actually trying to save it, but
Yeah, it's, well, I didn't go out by there today to take a look at it. Usually I drive by the projects and that. I didn't do that today. And when Jason showed the photos of it, that's going to be a big undertaking. And I agree with you, Derek. I commend the owner for trying to save that structure. Other comments on the motion? Okay, then it's time for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Ayes carried. Okay. Lucas, you got that one?
Yes, sir.
Straightforward. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then let's move on to the next item on the agenda. We're looking at public hearing PZ 20-0387. Okay. Again, I'll go through the preliminary statement. This is a de novo hearing and is an initial evidentiary hearing of PZ-20-0152. This application is a request for, let's see, where did, no, did I get the, no, I'm sorry, wrong number. Scratch that. PZ-20-0387. Even with my glasses on, I couldn't read it. This applicant is seeking approval to construct 2 attached dwelling units on the rear of the property. Additional requested improvements include new landscaping and the construction storage structure, trash enclosure, on-site pedestrian walkways, and a paved parking area off the abutting alley. Okay. All right. Burden of proof. The applicant has the burden of proving that he or she is entitled to the approval sought. The applicable criteria for this application include the Bend Urban Area Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 3 and Chapter 10.2 Historic Preservation Code, and the Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties. Testimony and evidence at this hearing must be directed toward the criteria set forth in the staff report or other criteria on the Bend General Plan or Bend Development Code that you believe is applicable for any other criteria, National Register or Historic Places program that any person believes apply to this decision. Failure on the part of any person to raise an issue with sufficient specificity to afford the Landmarks Commissioners and parties to this proceeding an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the City Council or Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Additionally, failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the Landmarks Commission to respond to the issue provides an action for damages in circuit court. The hearing will be conducted in the following order. Staff will give a report. Applicant will then have an opportunity to offer testimony and evidence. Proponents of the application will then be given a chance to testify and present evidence. When all proponents have testified, opponents to the appeal will then be given a chance to testify and present evidence. After both proponents and opponents have testified, the applicants will be allowed to present rebuttal testimony, but may not present new evidence. At the Landmarks Commission's discretion, if the proponents presented new evidence or on rebuttal, opponents may be recognized for a rebuttal presentation. At the conclusion of this hearing, the staff will be afforded an opportunity to make any closing comments. The Commission may limit the time period for presentation. Before the close of the hearing, any person has a right to request an opportunity to present additional evidence, argument, or testimony regarding the application. If the hearing is continued or the record left open, the applicant shall also be allowed at least 7 days after the record is closed for all other parties to submit final written arguments, but no new evidence in support of the application. Do any of the commissioners have any ex parte contacts, prior hearing observations, biases, or conflicts of interest to declare?
Nope.
Okay, I see none. Does any party wish to challenge any commissioner based on ex parte contacts, biases, or conflicts of interest? Okay. Juan, we still have no one on the.
No,
one
sir,
from
we
the
still
public?
don't have anybody
All right.
on the
All right,
phone.
thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, then with that, Lucas, you're on.
Thank you. This application is PZ20-0387. The proposal is for development of the same subject property, which we discussed previously. You may recall, oh man, must have been late last year, that the Landmarks Commission approved the removal, aka the demolition of a collapsed garage on the rear of this property. The applicant is proposing the construction of 2 new units in the place of that garage, all on the rear of the existing structure. Those units will be attached to one another, but detached from the structure itself. Additional requested structures are required under Bend Development Code, necessitated by the provision of storage and trash enclosures for triplexes. That applies throughout the city of Bend and within both historic districts. As Jason previously mentioned, single-family dwellings are no longer permitted in this area. They are not permitted in the high-density residential zoning district. Therefore, this proposal brings the property in line with the density and development standards of the high density residential district. And so Jason's proposal, both being in line with the character of the neighborhood and the existing structure, is in line with the development standards of the district which it lies within. The proposal here was taken care to design both in line, as I said, with characters of craftsman bungalows found within the district and the existing structure on property. You will notice in the report that the findings are specific to the structure as it stands today and its noted historic appearance. Because these two applications are broken out from one another, they are not taken together. That being said, Jason has taken care to match proposed materials and roofing from the application which you both just reviewed and approved, and this application which you are about to review now. With that, I recommended approval with a few conditions of approval. The first being that the applicant obtain a type 2 site plan review for a triplex. That's an approval requirement for triplex development in the city of Bend. It applies here. So that review and eventual approval, if it meets standards, which we have been taking care to make sure it meets standards along the way, so we don't have to go back and re-review this in the Landmarks Commission with respect to your time and our time. Will come after this. The applicant has not yet applied for that type 2 triplex site plan review. Additionally, I've requested a condition of approval that the applicant obtain an approved Class B variance. The actual language that requested or suggested condition of approval doesn't list the classification of that variance. It just says that they must obtain a variance. The reason being that variances can vary slightly. That being said, the applicant has already applied for a Class B variance for a reduction in the backing width required off of alleys of substandard right-of-way width for cars to maneuver in and out of, as well as requirements for site plan that include a pedestrian walkway width standard and a landscaping buffer width standard. The applicant is not proposing to eliminate those standards, only to reduce the requirement to accommodate for the development. The variance is necessary to accommodate this development, and without that variance, the parking standard could not be met, and walkability and design of the structure as proposed would be impacted significantly. So with that, I will turn it over to Jason and or to you if you have any questions for me prior to that.
Are there any questions from commissioners for Lucas?
One question, Mr. Chair. If in the historic district, we're now looking at a base zone of RH and the higher density model exists, the variance that you're talking about, is that only based on the backing distance and minor fluctuations in the plan versus the set model? Or is it in fact a type 2 variance because it's going to a triplex in the Old Town District?
Sure. Yeah, variances to backing distance, setbacks, any sort of outright measurement. If we're requesting a reduction in that measurement, that's outright classified as a type 2 variance. Variances are required to be noticed that way for maximum public input. The city doesn't issue variances without public input.
But had this project as proposed, had the necessary backing distance and had the setbacks where needed, nothing else triggered the type?
No, it would have not have necessitated a variance. It's brought on by the size of the lot, in particular in the substandard right-of-way width.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and just real quick, that variance has been applied for already?
It has. The application materials have been deemed complete enough for me to conduct my review. A notice is going out today or the day after. After that 14-day comment period is over, I can issue my decision.
Okay, all right. Okay, then any other questions for Lucas? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, no hands up. Then Jason, would you like to make a presentation?
Yeah, please. I'm now the presenter. So hang on one sec. Let me just drag this over. Do you guys see filters? Oh, hang on. Let me just share my screen. Let's see where left. Share. Okay. Okay, yes. Thank you, thank you. So tying in like part 2 of the project. So again, same property. Again, let's pan on down. So again, as Lucas mentioned, we're proposing to bring it into a triplex to meet the RH density requirements. And our goals for the project were to kind of keep scale in mind and not overwhelm the front property. So we've designed it to keep the proportions of the new part smaller in scale than the original primary house at the front. And get on down here to the proposal side. Okay. As part of our submittal, we are proposing, again, 3 parking spaces at the rear. Part of the variance is, I'm not sure what year it started to occur, but there was put in place a new backup distance of 24 feet from the opposite side of an alley if an alley is undersized. When you apply that, then you have to put in the parking and whatnot. So that's to get all that to accommodate and to get our small little duplex structures on, we needed to accommodate the parking in the rear. I did try to do 2 on-street parking, but there's exceptions in the code which do not allow you to claim that second spot because we need to have those 2 on-street parking spaces. That distance must match the width of the lot and cannot go over the lot width. So we propose to do, again, 3 at the rear and 1 on-street parking. Here's the proposed floor plan. You can see these are small, modest cottages that are connected. So it is a duplex structure, but it's a tiny floor plan with just a bedroom, a bath, and a small, I believe it's a 10 by 10 or 10 by 11 living area and a very small kitchenette. These are the older proposed elevations. With working with staff, we have now revised these. Again, this is an old burden of proof submitted back in July. Now staff, you'll see at the updated drawings, it's now lap siding all the way up, and the only board and batten is in the gable ends. So refer to your recent drawings that Lucas issued. And for scale and whatnot of duplexes in the district, I did go around and take pictures of other duplexes in town. This is not far from where Taco Stand used to be. Also not far from where Taco Stand used to be. Around the corner from where Taco Stand used to be, this is a multi-person residence, but we do have examples in the district. Again, same lap siding, same board and bat. Hardy panel smooth vertical, proposed front door, which is the Simpson model number 6801 with no dental shelf. Using these same windows from Sierra Pacific, whether single hung or casement, be matching the same style and profiles. Same roof. Only duplex, we're just doing a different exterior light, which is a Craftsman exterior light, fully shrouded to meet the dark sky compliance. And again, here's our proposed colors and paperwork. Now we'll go back to the video again. One sec. And with trees, I'll try to make the trees so you can see through them. But so you can kind of see now how it is lap siding, board and bats in the gable ends only, and we're tying together with the front facade. This little detached structure that's spinning around right now, for triplex, we were again required to do 60 square feet of storage. For each unit, we have a total of 3 units. So that storage building in the rear, we have divided it in half at 60 square feet, which will meet 2 units for the back duplex. And again, the 3rd unit storage is going to be underneath the primary cottage. Let's go back, walk that through again with no trees, let you watch again. On the detached structure, it is less than 200 square feet, less than 10 feet tall, and on it's basically post, it's kind of a pole barn system into the ground. And in meeting solids to voids, we did put 1 window on each side to break up the facades to meet solids to voids per, I think that's chapter 10.120. At the side, that would be the east side, we did add a gable roof again to break up the facade, keep the roof lines down. in length, again, complementing and working with the houses adjacent to us, making sure these structures don't have roofs that are longer than them. That's kind of my general drive-by. I'll let you guys just ask questions.
Jason, just out of curiosity, what's the square footage of the duplex?
Let's see. Go ahead and next question. Let me just open up the software and I'll be able to tell you.
Okay, any other questions and other commissioners?
Yeah, I have one question, kind of going back to the earlier about drainage to the stormwater facility and just some of the landscape materials. The landscape plan lists pavers. Are those permeable or are those solid pavers? I mean,
Yes, we want to do permeable pavers or walking stones, not solid concrete, because our goal is to let the water get back into the aquifer as quickly as possible. And again, since it's such a tight lot, hard surfaces, we are more concerned about the runoff, so we are proposing pavers and or walk stones.
and I didn't see any gutters or downspouts on any of the elevations. So how does the water or runoff get to the stormwater facility in the center?
With drainage wells, I can confirm with the applicant, Mr. Lansing, can you pipe in?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, we're planning to gutter and downspout the project and pipe it to the correct locations to deal with the stormwater.
Okay. And I'm assuming then that City of Bend code for stormwater facilities will kick in on development of that. I didn't see any details in the package. So
Correct. As part of the triplex application, a civil engineer drawing is required. We're going to be presenting that when we go into our triplex side. We've already obtained some quotes from civil engineers. We're just obtaining the approval from Landmarks Commission with hopes. And once we're approved with Landmarks, then we're going to move on to the next steps.
okay, thank you.
Eventually those elevations that we just take a look at will show position of gutters and downspouts.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
We'll add those to the issue for permit drawings, or if you guys would like to see updated drawings showing gutters and downspouts, we can certainly amend and send to you.
Okay. I think that would be a good idea. But we'll put that in the form of the motion later on.
Okay.
Jason, did you find just out of curiosity, square footage?
My employee, he's checking on his computer right now.
Okay, all right. Other questions for Jason then?
So hang on, Jerry. It's each unit is 406 square feet. So there's not much to them. So a total of 812.
Anyway, okay. All right. And again, just real quick, I didn't see it either. The square footage of the original house when you're all done with it?
Yeah, hang on. Here, go check on real quick. Yeah, keep going. Matt, my employee, he'll go check real quick.
Okay. All right. Other questions then for Jason?
So quick question on that landscape, and to go to the water retention area, it's shown on the plan as a lined, essentially like a lined pond. And I just wanted to know, I'm sure there's plans and whatnot, but I would say that cattails and mosquitoes do not make for good neighbors. So what was the idea long-term for that water retention area if it is lined, if it is 450 cubic feet of lined area, what exactly is the long-term goal, maintenance, things like that for that area?
Yeah, and so it won't be a cattail pond. No. So retention areas are typical drainage swells. So they're depressions in the earth that are aligned with rock, round rock, not angular rock. And typically, people can add vegetation that loves water. So for example, look out at 27th and the medians. They put vegetation in the medians that loves water. Now on 27th, they have all the water runoff from the roads directed to the median. That water in turn goes into the plant areas. Plant areas are also filtering the water, getting the chemicals out before they disperse into the earth. Mm-hmm. So the maintenance will be, it's just going to be like taking care of your typical residential lot. There are drainage swells around all new construction in the city of Bend. And Jerry, the square footage of the existing house is 841.
841. Okay. Thank you. Other questions for Jason?
Yeah, so like when I think aligned, right, and this is part of my past experience in doing some design engineering work for a company that actually did these kind of liners for petroleum facilities and all sorts of stuff. So on the plan it says lined, which would to me would be some sort of polyvinyl sheet good rolled out, soil put on top, pipe coming in, sealed, and such. What you are saying, Jerry, if I got your name right, and I hope I do, is that this is not a PVC sheet good lined pond, but a rock lined pond, open to the aquifer.
It also has a permeable weed mat.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
the liner is permeable weed mat. Allows the water to go through, soak down, but keeps the weeds from growing.
Okay, well, that would be good. Good note to have on the plan.
We could certainly have that added to the plan, Commissioner David, if you so chose. Any other questions for Jason? Okay, then again, Juan, is there any additional testimony in favor of the project?
At this point, we don't have anybody on the phone. Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
so then there will be, I'm assuming then there will be no one to speak against the project. Okay, then we will go ahead and Lucas, any additional comment you would like to make after hearing that? Lucas, you're muted. There you go.
All right. Yeah, a few things. We may want to get cut sheets and details for those gutters, and that may be something that you as commissioners might entertain. Those will be provided at the building permit stage. Jason detailed that we need those civil drawings in the building permit stage, though it might be reasonable to get those before at your discretion. Secondarily, and that can be handled administratively over here at the Planning Division. Secondarily, the statement I made about the recommended condition of approval for the variance, I stated that I did not say in the recommended condition of approval the classification of the variance. In fact, I did. The recommended condition of approval requires a Class B variance. That was amended after the variance application was submitted, and it was decided that a Class B variance is needed. So that's just a point of clarification.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. As best, yeah, I'm kind of one of the people that when we approve of a project, I like to have the details of the project as part of our approval or the plans coming. Okay, so I don't know if we will want to put the drawings of the gutters, and Commissioner David might want to get a details on the French drain. It's not a French drain. What is it? On the water hole.
Retention swell. Yeah.
Retentions. Thank you. I couldn't come up with it. Okay. So we'll talk about that when we come to
Okay.
when we get to a motion.
Okay.
Okay. So then we're going to go ahead and close this hearing. The input part of the hearing. Comments from commissioners?
Well, a couple of points, Mr. Chair.
But Derek?
One in the design review required construction details for alterations, additions, so forth. That's in the staff package, it does indicate that even soffit details, including fascia size and material, one would assume that the gutters at that point would be delineated for consideration as part of the checklist when it goes forward to building. Though I do agree that getting a detail, there's gutters and then there's, basically the same gutters. There's not a lot of options as to location and so forth. I don't think they're going to go with a full Victorian cut-in roof line with lead lining, but absent of that, I'm not giving heartburn over the idea of gutters.
Okay, thank you.
That's just me.
Okay, thank you. On a scale of 1 to 10, huh? Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty low.
I understand. Other comments from commissioners?
Yeah, totally fine with, my reading of that was my own bias, right? And I would just say that going forward to Lucas and Heidi is that, maybe instead of lined to me, which means like watertight, right? Nothing is getting out. That it's just, it's a weed mat. It's, for drainage only, and there's some sort of plan for upkeep. Totally fine with the administrative side of that. And with that.
Okay, great, super. That'll clear that one up then. All right, and then Lucas, through the planning process, going back to the gutters, you would be able to clear and clean all that up through the planning process, through the rest of the planning process?
That's correct. Administratively, it could be processed as a type 1 historic application if it's determined necessary. Heidi can weigh in on that, and Heidi, I'd like you to, if you wouldn't mind. Otherwise, the administrative overview that I would have would be through the variance application, which is not design specific, so scratch that. It'd be through the triplex review application, as well as the associated building permits for all the proposed work. This falls in line with the checklist that's conditionally required to be provided to us as part of those associated applications.
Okay. All right.
So Heidi, if you might, I'm not sure if we do need a type 1 administrative historic for the gutters or not. Seems.
I would say that we could just deal with it through the checklist.
Through the checklist.
As long as, like Commissioner Stevens says, they don't propose something out of character. So, yeah.
Okay. Any other then comments from commissioners? Then I will entertain a motion.
I'll take a crack if you want.
Be my guest.
Sure.
All right. I move for approval of the proposal with the perhaps the addition of the line permeable to liner when it comes to the retention pond, and with an eye towards the future gutter presentation being administrative.
Okay, and then staff also had, let's see, what was the other?
In addition to staff's recommendations regarding the, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion that says, let me see if I can get this right, to approve with staff recommendations that we read about, and with the term permeable added to the water retention liner, and with the proviso that staff will deal with the plans for the gutters and downspouts. Is that it, Derek?
Yep.
All right.
Perfect.
Lucas, you got all that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Motion? All right. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve with conditions. And a discussion of the motion. No discussion of the motion. Hearing no discussion of the motion, then we'll go right to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All those opposed? Okay. Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it. Okay, that one is approved. All right. That takes care of item number 4 on our agenda. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Item number 5.
Oh,
Thanks,
Karen.
Jason and Brent. Thank you for being with us.
Take care. I'm gonna log out now. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thank you, Lucas, too.
all right.
Did you send that?
Item number 5 on our agenda, communications. There's nothing scheduled. Like I generally tend to do a good of the order. The only thing that I would like to add would be to this group a great big tip of the hat and thanks to Bill Olson for serving on the Landmarks Commission for over 15 years. Heidi, he did.
I think so.
Yeah, his letter of resignation came in late last week, and so we will need to look around for someone to fill that position. Okay, Heidi, any tentative idea how long that'll take?
So I've been working with the city manager's office. The city, the mayor needs to appoint a person, and there is a process for volunteering an application, and it goes to the city manager's office. So I was working with them on a notice, and we thought we would give till October 1st for people to submit an application. That's 6 weeks. And so hopefully all you guys can beat the bushes out there, find somebody good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, October 1st, that seems like a long way away, but it isn't, is it? Robin?
Yeah, sorry. How does this apply to our alternate?
My question too.
I don't know. That's gonna be up to the mayor. Yeah. It is a position, it is Bill Olson's position, and it's open until the 2022. I think January 2022 is the remainder of the 4-year term.
Okay.
So if an alternate was interested in becoming a voter, I think that you could apply and let them know that you're interested in moving to that. I don't know. So, but they are aware of that. So that's where the announcement is going to be, to fill Bill's voting position.
Okay.
Thank you.
It seems, if I may, most logical to look at the alternatives, the alternate commissioners who have been sitting through the meetings, who have experience with the commission,
Right.
who we were able to just hit the ground running and bring a new person in to fill that vacancy.
Yeah, agreed.
And it almost seems as though, Mr. Chair, like that would be something that we might draft a letter stating that the position of the Landmarks Commission would be for the mayor to choose betwixt our alternates.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost,
Completely.
provided they want the gig. So
yeah, if yeah, providing any of the alternates want, I would encourage that. Yeah, you might as well get in on the voting here and everything like that. Heidi, as we run along, can you put together draft some type of communication to the mayor about alternates and having them appoint one of our, and if they could do it quicker, then that would certainly help with issues of
good point.
quorums and that kind of, and have it done before October. Yeah, October seems like a long ways away, but it's not very far.
6 weeks, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, please let me know if you're interested, and I will do that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for sitting through these difficult meetings online.
Another good of the order, folks.
Mr. Chair, I have been kicking around the idea that for all of the new commissioners, those of us who have come back to the commission, were it not for COVID, my suggestion would be some sort of training going back in through how we used to, how the historic districts were established and the background, and what Landmarks has used in the past for criteria when it looks at infill projects and so forth. To be frank, with COVID, I don't have a freaking clue how to do that. So I think that we're kind of stuck until situation changes a great deal, but
Yeah.
It was something that was on my mind. I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, Derek, I completely agree with you on that. When I first came on the commission 4 years ago, we did do training, and we had opportunities to go to statewide and or even national conventions and that, and to enhance, the way we look. But I think that maybe a training or a sit down and a sharing of ideas of how we see our roles on the commission and what the commission should be doing, since we have so many new people now. But again, we're just going to have to wait till we get an all clear.
Yeah.
And as soon as we do,
So hold on. I disagree with part of where you're going with that, right? Not the idea, but the execution of it, right? What COVID is, it's August now, so that's 8, and it started in essentially February, so that was 6 months ago, right? So 8 months ago, we never would have thought about meeting this way, ever, right? So the same way that you think, oh, hey, I'd really like to show him something, and Terry, right, about how this thing was done. Just grab the information and put it together, and then we make something kind of like this discussion right now, right, where one person can lead it and other people can join in and talk about it, and we develop a self-training module, right, for the end of these meetings. 10 minutes,
That's
12 minutes, right? You don't want to go too much longer. You can always give the information, the links for the information, and then just talk about it for 10 minutes, and then just push it out there. And there you are. You've got your training module done. We never would have thought about it doing it 7 months ago, but here we are, in the thick of it, needing to get it done. On that, also on that note, was that this is how often, this is the first one that I've seen, application where a variance has been requested, right? Doesn't seem like it's too often that occurs. And I would like to follow that down the rabbit hole separately, right? And maybe this is something for Lucas, maybe this is something for Heidi, maybe this is something for the people that give the variances, right? To come back and help educate us on what it took for the applicants, what it took for for Heidi or Lucas, right? And what it took for the planning department to get all of this thing done, so that moving forward, this isn't such a rarity, right? Because it's not going to be a rarity now that it's an RH district, for sure.
I believe that, first of all, David, I believe your thoughts about doing trainings or sharing of ideas, and that through this methodology, you're right. A year ago, I never would have thought that we would be doing this. My preference is always that we do it face to face, because I'm old school, and that. I think I would ask the commission to think in terms of one, do you have a preferred format? If we went through this method, we could start doing some training kinds of things or sharing of ideas quickly. If we wait until we get an all clear, then we'll have to wait for who knows how long. The other question, or the other charge I would give to the commission, is what areas do you feel like you do need additional information, you do need additional training, whether it's legal, and we had the attorney a couple of years ago, our city attorney came in and talked to us about conducting meetings and how to legally conduct a meeting. If it's
that was 8 months ago. That wasn't years ago. That was 8 months ago.
I went there a couple of times. We've had them do that. Yeah. And then if it's variances, what kind of how variances with the planning commission affect landmark commission? Think in terms of what is it that you would like to have additional. Um, um,
So why don't we let that be everyone's homework, right? List three things. We're going to break it into two groups, three things each, right? Three things that you want to either teach or right, you know, to expand upon, and three things that you want to learn. And we just put together, it's simple. We can have a matrix done in 3 weeks, right? And someone can just say, hey, listen, I'm going to do something on how the districts came to be, and I'm gonna do a 5-minute presentation at the end of September, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Folks,
I'm
how's
not
that
going to
sound?
volunteer for the first one though.
We'll give it some thought, and we'll start organizing the sharings of some ideas through Heidi and Lucas through email. And Heidi and Lucas, if you can think of something, if you have something in the back of your mind that you say, well, this commission could use information in this area or that area over there, then go ahead and add into, as David's talking about, a matrix for some in-house training or in-house sharing of ideas. I think all of us come to this commission with a unique set of experiences and a unique set of background and knowledge base, and we should be sharing some of that knowledge base and that background.
Yeah, I totally agree. Heidi, can we meet? I know there's some guidelines around how we can meet, or a little informally. I mean, if it were just us, maybe without staff, we could potentially, I mean, we're under the guideline of 10. We can't meet at all. We can't meet for coffee, just to get to know each other a little more. I'd love to learn more about people's backgrounds. I don't know what everybody's background or how they came to the commission is, so how to best utilize each other if we're not reviewing plans or actually discussing business, but just to get to know each other's people a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
We just need to be careful with quorum, with meeting the quorum without being recorded and open to the general public. But you can meet like 2-on-2 basically. But what's more than 3, what you could do is I'm certainly willing to put together the matrix and put that out there and then collect data. If there's something your applications for the Landmarks Commission included a little bit of background. I don't know if you're comfortable sharing that or if you want me to share that with everybody. I could do that just via email too as well, just to kind of get a little start on it. And we need to be careful when I do send out group emails if there are discussions and ex parte contacts basically. But could start with that, and I think that as long as we meet just 2-on-2, just informally, I think that's fine. We would not be afoul of the rules.
Yeah, I'd be perfectly comfortable in sharing my application materials. It's probably public record anyway.
Yeah, it probably is. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I logged on to Facebook once, so everything is now out there.
Couple of points. In the past, what we used to do, we would have work sessions prior to our regular meeting, or as David suggested, post meeting. The work session was one where we weren't running afoul of any of the rules about meeting because it was a work session, and it allowed for commissioners basically just to sit and talk and go through concerns and ideas, and as David said, 3 things you want to teach, 3 things you want to learn, and that's where a lot of things were hashed out. And it can be prior, it can be post meeting, without running afoul of quorum. So other than that,
as long as I do notice,
and we have to my recollection, we have done work sessions in the past. I recall one, I believe, in the last 4 years.
I mean, that's what with the legal department that I did. Right. I think I advertised it as a work session in January. Before the actual meeting, those kinds of things for sure. Yeah, I feel like we've just got flipped upside down with all this, and it's been difficult, working how we're going to do meetings and everything, and it's a work in progress. So I'm open to any ideas, and these are great thoughts.
Well, I'm really pleased and happy with the decisions and the accomplishments and things that we have, the work that we have done under these conditions and under these circumstances. And I know it's difficult this way to get to know all the members on the commission. And it's going to take some time to do that, but we can certainly do perhaps a work session prior to a council or a commission's meeting, or we can do through email, little VTI if you want to put a VTI of yourself together, or Heidi if you want to double check, send out an email and double check, see if everybody's okay if you send our VTIs out to the other commissioners, so we know where we're all from. Would that be okay with folks? And then go ahead and communicate through Heidi. What areas of training can you provide? And then what areas of training would you like either Lucas, Heidi, or somebody else to provide? And someday when we get, like I said, when we get to all clear, maybe we can go back to business as usual. I'm not sure we're ever going to do that.
I would say to expand upon that advice is don't be afraid to delegate that off to other people, like in the planning department, legal, you know, you don't have to do it yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Dump it all on Heidi.
Well, yeah.
I think Lucas liked that idea. Yeah.
Wait. Who's the junior partner here?
Yeah, Heidi has enough on her plate. Heidi has enough on her plate, so.
Yeah, Lucas, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah, I'm happy to find somebody else who can do that.
Okay. All right. So
no, I'm happy to help with whatever you guys have information with. And David, yeah, your idea of commissioners identifying a few things, and as well as Heidi and I identifying a few things that we think might be helpful for you to know in terms of development code, whether it's just the underlying development standards of the RH zone or variance process and procedure. Yeah, I'm happy to prepare anything in that sense that's going to help you guys do your reviews, because to the extent that the development standards are addressed in these historic landmarks commission staff reports, which you receive and review, is very limited. We do have a portion in there about setbacks, and that's about it. So I'm happy to give you all a rundown on that. We also do have handouts, which I prepared on our website for development standards of all sorts of different developments, including a synthesis of all development standards in residential zones. And that's on the City Bend Planning webpage. So if we're talking about homework, David, perhaps that might be a fun evening read. It's not too arduous, but it is helpful.
Lucas, do you want to send out links?
Yeah, send the link.
That'd be great.
I
Yeah.
absolutely will do that. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, I'll get on that right now.
Okay.
I just, one other thing, I just, I think, Jerry, you mentioned, training. We have grant money to send people to conferences. We have a state conference meeting in the fall all the time with the State Historic Preservation Office, which will be online this time. And so I was just talking with the historic preservation planner for the state, and she was looking for ideas for the one-day training that she does. So, based on this matrix that we get together, and she's willing to, provide additional training for that. So that's really going to be helpful too.
Share that with her, with the SHPO people, and then
yeah,
and then we can maybe tap into that or have have something come through them. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great ideas, folks. Great ideas. I really feel good about this group. I think we're starting to get to know each other, and I think we're starting to come together. And that if there's anything else for good of the order, well, then these proceedings are closed. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Juan.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Here.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Event, come on.